Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of Page 10. We are recording on the 17th of April 2023. With me in the studio are two returning panelists. Our regular panelist Meghnad is on leave this week, or at least on this day. So he will not be joining us. But with us in the studio are returning panelists. She's a producer. She's a क्या कहते हैं उसे, all hands, all person responsible for everything. It's Jalasmi Ati.
Hello, thank you.
And we have someone who gave us a lot of gyan last time he was here about the Ukraine Russia war. He's part of the creative solutions team at IVM. It's Karan Patil.
Hello, hello. Thanks,
How
Abbas.
are you doing today?
Good,
Yeah.
very good.
Yeah.
Great to be here.
We have some really dark news and some gruesome news to cover. But
Yes.
hopefully, we'll find something good at the end of this episode.
Yeah, there's
And
something sweet in my story. So,
yes. In case you're watching us for the first time, this is All About Now, which is the current affairs feed slash YouTube channel on the IBM podcast network. You can check out two other shows on this very YouTube channel and podcast feed, which are ELI 10, which is Explain Like I'm 10, and How to Citizen, which are also hosted and co hosted by Meghnad. I should give you a little heads up about Page 10. So, Page 10 is our current affairs podcast where each week we have a new panel, and each panelist brings a piece of news to the table that preferably happened in the last week. And we give a little explainer about the news, and we have a healthy discussion about it. So, the way I like to say it is that it's the exact opposite of the 9 p.m. news. We have a healthy discussion and we don't try to drown each other out by yelling. So let's get down to the topics we have this week. I'll start with my story first, which is a rather gruesome story, but it was all over the news over the weekend. So on Saturday night in Prayagraj, um, the mafia don Atiq Ahmed and his brother Ashraf were being taken for a medical checkup in police custody. And what happened was their murder essentially was caught on camera. Uh, we saw two men pretty much shoot Atiq and his brother at point blank range as they were about to talk to a group of journalists. From the information that we have, these two men who shot Atiq and his brother posed as news journalists to be in this environment and took advantage of that to shoot both the gangsters. There is a whole saga to this. Atiq Ahmed, of course, is no innocent man. He is a very has was a very infamous gangster who had links with the Samajwadi Party. He was a member of the Samajwadi Party, and this saga, if I tell you the whole thing, it'll take a lot of time. So I highly recommend you check out some YouTube videos that have come up from a lot of news organizations. So I'll give you the short version of the saga. It essentially starts with Atiq's son's involvement in a similar encounter that happened a couple of years ago. And Atiq's son was also shot down by the police authorities last week. Was it very very close to Atiq's murder? And this all sort of ties to a murder that took place of Umesh Pal, who was an eyewitness in a murder that happened of a BSP MLA called Raju Pal, which apparently was carried out by the men of Atiq Ahmed. So there is this sort of whole chain that starts there. BJP MLA Raju Pal gets assassinated. The eyewitness for that murder is Umesh Pal. Umesh Pal is apparently about to give a testimony against Atiq Ahmed. There is a back and forth there. Also, Umesh Pal first spoke in favor of Atiq Ahmed, said he was not responsible for the murder, but then he backtracked, saying that Atiq Ahmed's men kidnapped him and forced this confession out of him. So then he changed tack there. So then Umesh Pal was assassinated earlier this year in February, and Atiq Ahmed's son was involved in that case, and then the police chasing Atiq Ahmed's son shot him down, and now Atiq Ahmed and his brother, who was also involved in these activities, were in custody since early this month in April, and actually late March. I got that wrong. Since late March, and they were being taken for a medical examination as legal procedure, and they were shot down. So I just want a little um, opinion from you guys that Uttar Pradesh in the last two elections has had a change of government. There's a new CM, sort of new CM in place right now, Yogi Adityanath, who has claimed very eerily, one would say, a couple of weeks ago, a couple of months ago, he actually said कि हम ये सारी माफिया वालों को मिट्टी में मिला देंगे, and then this
Yeah.
happens. He has ordered a 3 member bench inquiry into the murder. The assailants who shot down the gangsters also surrendered on the spot to the police, which has also been caught on camera. So very shocking visuals. And another thing I want to ask you guys is the way the media used this footage. Right, there was no sense of trigger warning or any
Yes.
sense of caution on the part of media houses. By and large, after a few hours, I think some of them started blurring the visuals and also giving some trigger warnings. But in the breaking moment as it happened, the video was all around Twitter. You can still find it, unfortunately, on Twitter,
Yes.
without any trigger warning, without any blurring. So first, let's tackle the state of Uttar Pradesh, and it's got a bad name for being this. Law and order, it doesn't exist there.
Mm.
People voted a new party in power, thinking that would change.
Yeah.
Do you think it's changing? Do you see anything changing in the near future?
So, firstly, regarding what you said about the media, right?
Yeah.
The thing is, एक तो टीवी वालों को टीआरपी चाहिए होती है, so probably they don't blur it.
Right.
And I understand this because, whenever these bomb blasts used to happen,
Mm.
they would never blur anything, and it's not press code of conduct that they are following.
Right.
So that needs to be addressed. Yes, you are right. I really appreciate how digital media has been taking it. Like, some of them have been considerate as to not embed those videos,
Mhm.
but they've just written that it's available here. If you want to click it, but it captures the killing of a human being.
Right.
Case in point being Splainer.
Mm.
So, according to Splainer, they've just made some observations. I'm
Right.
just going to read them out.
Okay.
One is that although the hospital had parking space, the police vehicle stopped right outside the gate, and the handcuffed men climbed out to be paraded in front of assembled media. Secondly, they did not even vet the journalists. The police did not like limit access or vet the journalists who
Yeah.
were allowed
Mm.
inside the
Mm.
perimeter. Then there's also questions about why the brothers were taken to the hospital suddenly Ratko 10 baje,
Right.
because I think hospital visits require written orders, and if there
Correct.
is somebody of such, I mean, if
High
there's a high
profile
profile
case. Yeah.
case,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, you're summoned to doctors can go
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
prison for
Yeah.
checking. And a former DG of police also observed that the assailants are of poor background, but they were using guns of Turkish pedigree, each costing 7 lakh. Um, each round costing 250 rupees.
Mm.
And their firing shows that they had a lot of practice.
Right.
So there is somewhere a possibility that this was planned. We don't know,
Mhm.
but this is what was written.
Mm.
सेकेंडली बीजेपी लीडर्स ने क्या बोला कि दिस इज मतलब पाप और पुण्य का हिसाब इसी जन्म में हो जाता है, दैट्स
Mm.
व्हाट दे सेड.
Mm.
एंड समबडी सेड इट वाज अ कॉस्मिक डिसीजन,
Mm.
आसमानी फैसला. And according to stats, the killing of Atiq's son Assad was the 183rd encounter
Yeah.
since Yogi became CM.
Mm.
So I'm sure the UP government is sort of proud of the record that it's making. And I don't really know ki humanitarian grounds mein how this comes across. What would the human rights people say? Because at the end of the day, these people are dangerous people.
Right. Right.
So I mean, it's all a very complex web of people, power, and mm, it being UP, I don't know. Probably there could be a religion angle also involved.
Yeah.
Can't say.
Yeah, so I forgot to mention this, but Asaduddin Owaisi tweeted a few minutes, I think, after the encounter took place, where he said that there were chants of Jai Shri Ram also that took place when
Yeah,
this happened. I don't know if that has been caught on camera, but there is that religiosity angle, considering the two gangsters belong to the Muslim community, and chants of this nature. So of course there is that whole politics and religion heady cocktail. But
yeah,
Karan, anything you
Yeah, I
wanna
disagree with
talk on
something.
this?
I
Okay.
don't I don't think they had much practice firing that gun if you saw them actually how they fired that gun. You don't like shove your hand while you're firing. It doesn't speak too much in terms of if they've had any practice. I know I'm probably nitpicking here and I shouldn't be joking about this,
Hmm.
but it it does sort of give you the impression that these guys aren't really used to firing guns.
yeah,
Right.
Gun I know he's trying to take care of the recoil,
Mm.
what he's doing. I'm no expert on this.
Mm.
from my limited firing of zero guns, limited knowledge rather. But if you saw them firing that gun and you saw how the cops ran away
Yeah,
as soon as they started firing,
yeah.
I mean, sure, why not? He's a criminal, right? And maybe he's done a lot of wrong things. He's probably convicted for. He has how many?
100 plus
170.
100 plus
Yeah,
170
cases
odd
in
against
cases.
him, yes.
I,
kidnapping,
hmm,
murder,
hmm.
lots of other
Yeah,
sort of
so
cases.
I mean, I don't think we should be celebrating extrajudicial killing
Killings.
as
Right,
such.
right.
Hmm.
The guy deserved it, sure, why not? But not like this.
Mhm.
The families of all the people that he has wronged are not. I mean, maybe they feel that they got justice. Has anybody asked them? Have they if they feel that they've gotten
No, but
justice?
that's the question, right? Why should justice arrive in this fashion? They should feel confident enough that the judicial system will take care of him, punish him accordingly.
Yeah,
But we all know that that rarely happens, especially in.
we are a long way from that,
Right,
especially when you take UP into
right,
consideration. If you understand the kind of world that they have been living in for the
right.
last 70 odd years, where we
Mm,
call it Jungle Raj, saying ha
mm,
Jungle Raj,
mm,
UP Jungle Raj, but
mm,
the people who are actually living there, for
mm,
them it's reality. Every day there's somebody who's connected to a ruling party comes and squats in your living room and says, this is my house now and
mm,
you have to give it up to him. And that's what Atiq Ahmed has been guilty of
right,
doing a couple of
right.
times.
Yeah,
That's where that court case came, where he
yeah.
killed the guy. And I feel there's an interesting story about this one person or a studio owner whose house he tried to take over.
Mm,
And but thankfully she or him were really connected to the ruling party, who was Congress at the time,
right.
and they got the order from there
Mm,
to Atik, saying that hey, you cannot take that house.
yeah,
And he famously told her that this is the one house that I haven't been able to
demolish.
confiscate or
Mm,
demolish or whatever
mm,
it is. So the guy is guilty of all of this, and this has been brazenly happening. He's been
yeah,
in politics since the 80s.
yeah, correct.
So he's been a gangster for I don't know how long.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
So now their sentiments are pretty much colored by these experiences that they
correct.
have been feeling.
Yeah.
So we are sitting in our privileged sort of positions where we are saying that hey guys, this is not. If the families feel that they have justice has been done. But sure, as far as legality is concerned, it's not the way that we should be doing things.
Right.
Maybe the family felt that had he gone through the court kacheri ka chakkar, as we say, maybe he might have been let off. You never know.
That's what I'm saying. I mean,
I
there
mean,
is no confidence in the judicial
there's no
system.
confidence in the
Yeah.
judiciary,
Yeah, yeah.
and it's a weird time,
Mm,
really, honestly, for being in UP. And I'm pretty sure all the comments that I've been seeing online, also people are talking about leaving UP because of all of this sort of random
I
jungle
mean,
raj
it's
happening.
India's largest state. How much ever you want to leave it, it's. I mean,
Yeah,
how many people will can leave? So
exactly.
yeah,
The ones who can probably would. The ones who
Yeah.
can't kind of
yeah.
have to stay there.
Right.
And sorry, what is the question?
My question was just like, what do you want to add to this?
Sorry.
So
But
I
Yeah.
yeah,
have something to add. The thing is that one, even Atiq Ahmed, he was charged for his first murder case at 17,
hmm,
which is a very young age. You're
yeah.
not even
Even his
fully an
son
adult.
was. Some reports say he was 19. Some say he was 21.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's also
Plus,
very young.
the two shooters in this case,
Hmm,
Lavlesh Tiwari and Sunny Purane, they were both also some like 1920 only.
right.
Lovelash's father dismissed him, saying he was jobless and a drug addict,
Hmm,
and Sunny has been disowned by his family also. And they had an accomplice, Arun Kumar Maurya. So
yeah.
even
He
that
he
guy.
surrendered. Yes.
So the thing is that it's happening, like these murders have been made at a really young age.
Right.
So I think another issue that comes to light is the lack of jobs.
Hmm,
People are not getting money, and then
hmm,
these really young minds get clouded with
Yeah.
hmm,
doing all of these things because people with power can obviously get them
right.
to do.
Yeah.
So we need to keep that in consideration as well.
I want to ask a larger question. Do you think, like you said, if maybe the families of the people Atiq Ahmed affected,
Yeah.
they feel justice has been done.
Hmm.
Uh, Otherwise, also, I remember, I think it was in Telangana a couple of years ago where some rapists were lynched outside a courtroom,
Yeah.
and people were celebrating that on Twitter, saying that the courts would never have given them the death sentence for rape, but they deserve to die. Do you think we as Indians are, at the end of the day, more we celebrate retribution because we think that's the only way justice
I
can
think
be
that's
done?
how mob mentality works anywhere.
I
Hmm.
doubt.
It's where mob, like, France, people were guillotined
Hmm.
for just
But
being a
that
member of
was
the
what,
royal
in the
family.
1600s?
Yeah, sure, but I'm just
Right.
saying, like, mob mentality even now, for
Hmm.
that matter, if you see like other, like for example, when the whole before COVID, Kashmir article abrogation of 370
370. Yeah.
happened, and then there was the whole, just before COVID in that January there was the
Hmm.
Delhi
Hmm.
riots, right?
Yeah.
Like people are going
Yeah.
pretty much rabid
Right.
over there, especially in that Shaheen Bagh and all
Yeah.
of that.
Yeah.
And it's, I mean, obviously there were a lot of like what's the word, unreasonable things that were said there. But
Hmm.
when you get people like that, when you get angry people together like that,
Hmm.
that things are going to get a little out of hand, and
Hmm.
it doesn't, I don't think it represents any sort of actual mentality of the majority, or
Okay.
maybe the silent majority, if you had to say that.
Okay.
It's just when people are angry and when they are in that mob sort of, like I said, like it's just, I think it's mob mentality that
Mhm.
people see it,
Mhm.
and I don't think it's a larger sort of representation of how it is. And coming to the point about the families of the people who Atiq Ahmed wronged,
Yeah.
I don't want to speak for them, but I think one should ask them if they feel that justice has been served, because what should happen is
Does it
that they
matter
should
though?
not. Sorry.
Does it matter?
No, it does. I mean, in the larger scheme of things, what matters is that this guy didn't get the full sort of justice journey, right? He didn't go through due
The due
process.
process, yeah.
He
That's
didn't.
what I mean when I say does it matter. If they say, let's, yes, we think justice was done, does that mean from tomorrow you drop all cases and start
Theoretically, it doesn't
chasing?
really matter, right? If they
Yeah,
feel that justice has been done, but still, judicial process has to be followed. Tomorrow,
exactly.
you and I can be picked up
Right.
by anybody on some trumped up charges,
Yeah.
right? And say that, hey, oh,
Yeah.
fine, you're doing it, and then this Jack Ruby slash Lovelish,
Yeah.
whoever at this time, whoever it was, I
Yeah.
mean, could do probably something, and then what? And then what happens after that?
Yeah. Jalasmi,
So
you were saying?
I mean, I don't think so. People think कि इसको इसका एनकाउंटर करने से जस्टिस हो गया because
Hmm.
the person, the family has suffered, and इसके मरने से उनको वो
yeah, I
they're
mean,
not going to feel relieved because they are still going to live with that pain and anger and hurt.
I actually disagree. I think that we are, at the end of the day, a retributive society,
mm-hmm,
because I'll give you two examples. When Tiger Memon was about to be hanged,
right,
I remember NDTV was doing an interview with someone who lost their eyesight in the bomb blasts.
Hmm.
Okay, and they were. I think the argument that was being made was against capital punishment. Should we be hanging? Should the capital punishment still be death? Because then there is no retribution for the,
mm,
not retribution. There is no rehabilitation for the perpetrator,
mm-hmm,
if you completely finish their life. So the man who lost his eyesight, he said कि नहीं, मैं तो चाहता हूँ कि उसको फांसी हो क्योंकि मेरी आंख चली गई. ठीक
yeah,
है. Now in that case, I think he has full right to say that because the court said कि हाँ फांसी होनी चाहिए.
mm-hmm,
Similarly, we are also the country that provided a lawyer to Ajmal Kasab,
yeah,
fought the case. He was also asked to be hanged,
yeah,
and then he was hanged, right?
yeah.
So I think at the end of the day, we are a society which wants for us the ultimate justice is if you have been wrong, the other person should lose their life. So there are very few cases, I think, where this doesn't happen. Like in the Jessica Lal case, her sister suggested the court that they give him a lifetime sentence instead of a death sentence.
Hmm.
But yeah, maybe I'm just pessimistic
You're
from
equating
you.
you're equating mob justice to criminal
Not
justice,
mob
because
justice.
here,
An encounter took place and people are celebrating that, saying this is how justice should be carried out, and not because it'll take years for the courts to come to a decision,
yeah,
and
correct.
they most probably won't even be in the favor in what we want
Are
it
you
to be.
saying the ends justify the means?
I'm not saying that. I
Because
think
here,
we are a society for whom the end more often than not is a person being lynched or being
yeah,
killed.
in the Tiger Memon
Yeah.
case, he was hanged
Yeah.
as was pronounced by the courts.
Correct.
So there the entire sort of, what am I trying to say here? The justice, sort of the whole thing, like the
Yeah.
whole due
Procedure, yeah,
process, the due
was followed.
process was followed,
Hmm.
right? But no, that's done. That you can't. Then
That's
then that becomes a
done.
death penalty
I
case.
think
Then
It
that becomes a
does.
death penalty argument,
It
which
does. But
which we're not having here right now.
sure,
We're not
yes.
doing a death penalty argument. We're
Yeah.
doing
Yeah.
whether due process was followed or not.
Huh.
Their due process was followed. The honorable courts, whoever it is,
No, but
decided that he shouldn't live.
yeah, the reason I picked up that case was the man who was blinded in the bomb blast. He
Yeah,
wanted Tiger Memon to be hanged,
of course. I
right?
mean, that's
I think justice is in the suffering, not in death.
But what is the suffering?
That's the thing, na.
Yeah, see that, and
Isn't death the ultimate suffering? You're killing the person, and then you're also their family will suffer.
see
So
that's a very
then the
complicated
family members
argument.
will be like, oh, now his family suffers the same way that
Exactly,
ours
right?
did.
See, me personally, vehemently against the death penalty. I can never support the death penalty, because
Okay.
then you're basically talking about the state government turning into a murderer,
Right.
which I don't think any
Mm.
state government should do, because then
Mm.
that you're giving onus
Exactly.
to somebody in the government to make that
Mm.
decision, right? And nobody wants to make that decision.
Mm.
Anyway, that's a
Mm.
different argument altogether.
Mm.
Here, in terms of the Atiq Ahmed case,
Mm.
especially with regards to who his killers are
Mm.
and why they were doing it, I don't think there's anything out yet. I
There
think
isn't
they're still.
anything out, but so I should mention this. News channels and just otherwise, there was always this assumption that his encounter is going to happen, and it's going to be politically motivated. As Jalasmi mentioned, that these were kids who were using like really expensive machinery or weapons. Where did
Okay.
that come from? Who sort of gave the orders for this?
Mm.
We do not know, but it may well be politically motivated. Yeah,
UP is it's a easy place to get guns if you know where to look for it. There are
No,
sure,
enough.
plus also
I
expensive.
mean,
another.
you can check on YouTube. There are YouTube reviews of places where you can get guns. So please, I mean, honestly, what Turkish? Do you know what gun it was?
Yeah, no.
Do we know what brand of gun it was? Turkish,
Why
huh?
are you so interested in the brand of
I'm
the
interested
guns?
in weapons in terms of which weapons they are.
Whichever they are, they were too
Yeah.
expensive for a 19-year-old or 20-year-old to own in Uttar Pradesh.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Plus, at the same time, I was just seeing who Atiq Ahmed is.
Hmm.
I mean, I'm not very
Well
acquainted
versed.
to
Yeah,
him.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But a gangster is becoming an MLA and
Yeah,
being a
yeah, yeah.
part of a party.
Again,
That
so
is
Hmm.
also
He's
very,
so
very
little more
concerning.
background on
And
this.
I
Yeah.
mean, I don't want to say this, but we cannot deny the possibility that the folks who carried out this
Hmm.
encounter, if there is, just in case there is a vendetta case, or in case this is deliberately done by somebody through their hands,
Hmm.
these people can also.
Yeah,
I don't
that's what
know.
people are theorizing, that
Hmm.
maybe
It's
he
it's
was
scary,
some really known people who are
but
probably on the chopping block,
yeah, we
based
can't
on what.
deny the possibility. कुछ बोला
Yeah,
नहीं है किसी ने, but then
maybe
there
he was
are
going to testify against someone. We don't
Yeah,
know.
uh,
yeah,
Sorry
yeah.
for talking over you.
yeah,
But
Yeah, Atiq Ahmed's rise in the party is associated more with Mulayam Singh Yadav when he was the chief of the Samajwadi
yeah,
Party.
I read that.
The story goes that Akhilesh Yadav himself was not very fond of Atiq Ahmed, so that can also be one of the reasons why he was sort of put
right.
under the bus, to use a phrase. He also was not. I mean, he had his tiffs with the Mayawati government, the BSP government. So Mayawati had also used a bulldozer to crash down one of Atiq Ahmed's very expensive and opulent offices back in the early 2000s. So this
Oh,
political back and he's been involved in this political back and forth for a long time. Um,
well, she found the
but
one office space that was actually owned by him and not
yeah, and
confiscated,
she
and not
went after that.
confiscated.
But yeah, just I think overall it's not a good sign for law and order in UP in India.
Yes.
This should not be. I mean, this sets a very bad precedent for
Can
the rest
we
of the
can we
country as
take a
well.
flashback
Mm,
about 3-4 weeks before this episode,
mm.
where was it you and me, or was it Nikhil, Meghnad, and I
Yeah.
were on this episode, or
Mm,
were on this podcast,
mm.
and we spoke about Atiq Ahmed being transported from
Yeah, yeah,
Sabarmati
yeah,
jail.
yeah.
Were you there on
I
that?
wasn't there, but yeah, that was
Huh.
in the
So I
news.
mean, there was so much TV coverage just over that.
Yeah,
Like, people were waiting for him to die from then,
correct.
which I feel
Yes.
that Nikhil had theorized on the podcast, that people actually waiting for him to get killed or something to happen, or some encounter to happen.
Mm,
And I feel that somebody picked up on this, and then somebody decided ki maybe a police encounter is not the best way to do this,
mm.
and maybe
Yeah, that's what I'm
non-police
saying.
encounter
Yeah, yeah,
is.
yeah.
And the way that the cops just fucked off out of there as soon as the gun
No, but
started
that
going
I
off.
understand. Right? If someone's shooting, no matter who you are, you're gonna run away.
No, you're a
And
cop.
one policeman did get injured in the firing.
uh,
You're a cop means you're not gonna stand in the line of fire.
yeah, but I urge you to watch that video again, and just keep your eye on the cop and how he I'm not saying he's in on the murder,
Mm,
but the way he ran away, and the way he probably just sort of avoided the thing, and just the way the cops reacted, that's really like screams of like unpreparedness for a situation
sure.
like
Yeah,
this.
yeah,
If
yeah.
you were in the States, by the time the first shot rang out, that dude, whoever, Lovelish, whatever, our friend, he would be like riddled with at least 100 bullets before 5 seconds after the first bullet
Mm.
rang out. So, I mean, it just goes, and the whole point, like even Jalasmi mentioned that why was he taken to the hospital at such a
Right.
weird?
Correct.
Fine, chalo, hospital you can go at some point if you're not feeling well. Even I've
Mm.
been to the
Mm.
hospital at 2 in the morning.
Mm.
But then taking that long walk, you can just go to every hospital has a casualty emergency where cars
Mm.
can just
Mm.
waltz in and you can easily go. Why is he walking from such a long way? There are so many questions that need to be answered over here, and I
Yeah.
feel that the more questions I ask, the more like
And
we
if
will
he
have.
was going to the hospital for an emergency, वहाँ पे journalist कैसे आए?
Well, journalists have been following him the whole time anyway. No, since Sabarmati they've been following him, and now with his son dying, and he apparently he was paying his last respects the
The day
day
before.
before or whatever, so he was already in that
Mm.
area.
Sus.
So, the Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath has constituted a three-member judicial commission to probe the killing. The three-member judicial commission, I don't think is the same as the CBI. Okay, we'll wrap this story up here right now and go into a quick break. When we come back, we'll hear from Jalasmi and from Karan. We'll see you right after this.
Hey everyone, it's been another great week on the IVM Podcast Network. Listeners, presenting to you Club Vartalap, the premier tier offering for our podcast. Here you get a number of perks like access to extra bits and clips from the episodes, completely unfiltered, uncut, and raw. The chance of watching or listening to the full episodes 2 days before the official release, and absolutely free of cost entry to the Vartalap Just Us live shows. That's right, stories in person. Occasional live streams of the episode tapings on YouTube, an exclusive members-only Telegram group with Akash and Naveen, and you also get your name on the producer slates at the very end credits of all the video episodes. So go to youtube.com/@Vartalab and click on the join button to become a member now. On Cyrus Says, Cyrus is joined by actress Mithila Palkar. They talk about her endeavors in mainstream acting, theatre and regional cinema. And we also get to hear her sing some beautiful songs for us. On Think Fast, Varun and Suchita are joined by Pranav Mani of Brain & Co. They talk about culture from a Gen Z perspective and what appeals to this generation. And on Vartalab, Naveen and Akash are joined by poet and writer Preeti Vangani. The trio talks about the different scams that are happening over the world and the problems with the society. Once again, do not forget to visit our merch store on ivmpodcast.com. We've got some super cool and exciting stuff over there for you and your loved ones. Follow us on social media. We are at IVM Podcast on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. If you like our shows, then do not forget to spread the word. You know, it really helps us a lot. And of course, don't forget to rate and review our shows on whatever platform you are listening to them. All our video shows are also available on youtube.com/IVM Podcasts. And finally, we'd like to thank our sponsors this week, Cash Repayments and HDFC Mutual Fund. Thank you so much for making this possible.
And we're back on page 10 with Jalasmi and Karan. Jalasmi, what do you have for us this week? Please enlighten us.
Yes. My story doesn't involve murder, but it
Thankfully.
involves a lawsuit,
Okay.
which is an important lawsuit
Mhm.
because we've all grown up loving Bournvita.
Yes.
Even today, if you go to Marine Drive, what do you have? Boost
Bournvita
de,
wali chai.
Bournvita de. Hey, not Bournvita wali chai, bro, but Boost and Bournvita, and you just, really love the taste of it. There's nothing wrong in that
Mm.
as such. But if Bournvita calls itself a health drink,
Right.
which is where the problem lies.
Mm.
Now, what happened was that the headline
Mhm.
says influencer deletes viral reel highlighting Bournvita's sugar content after legal notice from Cadbury.
Mm.
So this guy is Revat Himmat Singha. He is actually an influencer by the name Food Farmer, Farmer Pharmer,
Okay.
on Instagram. He has 129K followers on Instagram. He's actually Wharton ka MBA kiya hua hai, and he had a
Mm.
job in the US which he left, and he's here to give out the message, something along the lines of how food is also medicine. So
Mm.
basically, your kitchen is your pharmacy, and you can solve a lot of lifestyle problems and a few diseases with the help of food.
Mhm.
So what he did is he made a video highlighting how Bournvita and other such drinks, but especially Bournvita has 50% of its content is sugar,
Mm.
and he started with explaining how Bournvita has all these vitamins and minerals and everything, which is something Cadbury also puts it
Yeah.
on their
On the
on the
package.
packaging.
Yeah.
But what it doesn't highlight is the amount of sugar.
Mhm.
So he just gave us a context about how for every 100 grams of Bournvita, 50 grams is just sugar.
Mhm.
So it's okay to have Bournvita, but the problem is when it labels itself as a health drink.
Right.
And he also basically called out the miscommunication on the package about the nutrition details, because these nutrition details are also written in such fine print
Right.
that we more often just let go. We don't
Mm.
think about it as much.
Mm.
And all the commercials are so like, um, for example, Bonvita's tagline is Tayari Jeet Ki, and what this guy said is it's not
It's
Tayari
changed.
Jeet
Back in my day,
Ki.
it was Tan ki Shakti, Man ki Shakti.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
that
it
was a
was
very long
Yeah.
time ago.
that's very
That's
Sorry.
long time.
Continue.
So Tayari Jeet Ki, he's like, guys, it's not Tayari Jeet Ki, it's Tayari Diabetes Ki, because what you are doing is getting your kids addicted to sugar from a very young age,
Mm.
and this can have bad consequences. Um, so what Cadbury did is that it just sent a legal notice to this guy. Now, Bonvita ka, there is a small like a PR thing where they are like, um, I quote, Bonvita has enjoyed the love and trust of consumers for over 7 decades. It has nutrients, vitamin A, C, D, iron, zinc, copper, selenium, all of this, which helps with healthy functioning of the immune system. Bonvita is best consumed with a glass of 200 ml hot or cold milk, as highlighted on the pack. Every serve of Bonvita has 7.5 grams of added sugar, which is approximately 1.5 teaspoons. And the next line is written in bold. This is much less than the daily recommended intake limits of sugar for children. And then they go on to say how Bonvita is a scientifically designed formula with ingredients that are approved for use, and all of it has been declared on the pack.
Mhm.
This is what Bonvita has been saying. Now, this guy, he basically, after the legal notice, he is just like, listen, मेरे पास ये legal notice को pursue करने का या he
Ah,
doesn't have the time
means,
or
yeah.
resources.
Yeah.
So what he's written is, I quote, I created a video on Cadbury Bournvita, which incidentally went viral, receiving nearly 12 million views of Instagram. So Madhavan, Kirti Azad, Paresh Rawal, all of these people liked it and
Shared it.
shared it. And
Mm.
Kirti Azad also went on to say that, Cadbury needs to be legally put through a
Response. Yeah.
process.
Yeah.
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 So then he goes on to write, I quote, I have decided to take down the video across all platforms after receiving a legal notice from one of India's biggest law firms. I apologize to Cadbury for making the video. I mean, it's sad that he has to
Mm.
apologize. I did not plan or intend to infringe any trademark or defame any company, nor do I have the interest or resources to participate in any court cases. And I request MNCs not to take this forward legally.
Mm.
And basically he's just saying uske aage that he quit a high quitting sorry high paying job in the US, came back to India to start Food Farmer, which is his Instagram channel, and how he's just trying to educate people on how to decrease dependency on pharma.
Mm.
So I think he's doing quite a good job, but then all of this happened, and there is
no,
a legal notice, and then
yeah,
he's given an apology. So
clearly.
there is a very popular guy called the Liver Dog on Twitter. Amazing person.
Yeah, I know Liver Dog.
What he's done is then he's just highlighted how Bonvita, Boost, Horlicks, Complan, Pediasure, all of these, even our cold drinks, Coca-Cola, Fanta, something like ginger beer and whatever, cheeseburger,
Mm.
everything contains such a high amount of sugar, and sugar is an addictive substance. We don't we talk about cigarettes and we talk about alcohol and all of those things, but sugar has been such a silent killer. It's
Right.
present in everything. Even if you see something like ending with OSE,
Mm.
or there are so many stevia and maltodextrin and pata nahi, so sugar basically comes in so many names and forms that sometimes you get lost in the ingredients and तुम्हें पता भी नहीं चलता कि इसमें से sugar क्या है. So yeah, I think apology necessary nahi thi, because he actually highlighted what is true.
Well, according to Cadbury, it isn't true. So
Yeah, I
yeah,
mean,
we don't
apology
know.
is necessary because he
Yeah.
just got a legal notice. I mean,
I mean,
either
haha.
I
either
just wanted to ask, so, like, how did he come to the conclusion that the amount of sugar is XYZ, which he claims?
So probably one, there is a lot of research behind this,
Okay.
and secondly, I think he must have done something in his
Yeah, I mean, I have a question. He was doing what in the US?
he
His name is what? Pharma? What? Big
Food
food
pharma.
food
farmer.
pharma. So I'm guessing something to do with food and the
Probably. So
pharmaceutical.
that information is not there, but he had a high paying job which he quit in the US.
Okay. And
Yeah.
do we have any kind of background on what he was doing in the US? I mean, I'm just saying, is he
Hmm.
um is does he have credibility in this subject? Is he a subject matter expert? Does he know what he's doing with when it comes to testing? Is he testing these themselves, or are these results? Is he just kind of analyzing the results from, say, other this thing? Because see, I'll tell you something. Um, we've all been drinking Bournvita all our lives,
Hmm.
and I feel that at some level, that sugar content really does take a toll on you.
Mm.
And but I'm not sure how much of it can be connected back to Bournvita, because kids inherently also eat a lot of chocolates, or they have a lot of propensity to eat chocolates. So maybe in a way, he had made that video. He could have delivered that message a different way, maybe. As in, maybe all the blame should not be placed on Bonvita. Maybe that's what they are trying to say, right? I don't
No,
want
no. So the thing is, basically, video delete ho gaya hai. But
to.
what he
Yeah.
said in the video, first he highlighted the good stuff. Ki haan, these are the vitamins, whatever, whatever. Because if it is declared in the pack, which means
Hmm.
it is there.
Hmm.
Company ऐसे ही नहीं बोलेगी.
Hmm.
So yes, agreed. The problem that he, or the way that it felt like a defamation, is when
Okay.
he said that ये सब तो ठीक है, but
Hmm.
look at the amount of sugar.
Ah, okay. So,
So if Bonvita is labeling itself as a health drink, which is where the problem is, तुम पियो ना Bonvita, that is not a problem. But then labeling it as a health drink is wrong because you're misguiding consumers. You know,
yeah.
so बच्चों को पता नहीं
So,
चलेगा. Mothers will be like, ठीक है, if kids are drinking milk somehow, Bonvita के साथ, because nobody likes plain milk. Come on, most of the kids.
yeah.
So this is there. I'm just saying that we need. So there are two things. One is how he's just basically highlighted a packaging issue.
Hmm.
So इसमें defamation नहीं है. It's not exactly defamation because so many people have actually spoken out about this. The problem is when this reel has 12 million views and
Exactly.
all of that. And what people are saying is that ideally Cadbury should just have let this go. कि ये wave के साथ, like
Yeah.
every reel just dies down, it could have died down. The second thing is what happened with this video is the Streisand effect.
Of
Hmm.
course.
Yeah,
But I haven't watched it yet. I really want to watch it now.
the video is deleted.
Oh shit!
I mean,
But I'm sure
I'm
there'll
sure you'll
be
find it somewhere.
it'll be somewhere
Yeah.
on the internet. Nothing really
Yeah.
is deleted on the internet.
Okay.
And but yeah, I think that's what it is right now. If you, I'm just checking out his apology over here. Now there are some sentences that are very like curious. Okay, so he's saying that he has decided to take down the video. I'm quoting him over here. I've decided to take down the video across all platforms after receiving a legal notice from one of India's biggest law firms on 13th of April 2023. I apologize to Cadbury for making the video. I did not plan or intend to infringe any trademark. So therein, that's point number one, right? So which means they have tried to find all the different
Yeah.
sort of loopholes in which my big expensive law
Yes.
firm can kind of justify their
Yeah.
fee, right?
Yeah.
Retainer. So there's a trademark, which means they've caught him for using Cadbury, the
Hmm.
name and the logo, possibly if he has
Probably.
used.
No, no,
Yeah,
he's, I think in the screenshots, he's holding a
correct.
Bonvita bottle.
Yeah, and then defame the company by saying that, oh, there's sugar in this. Now, I mean, it's basically, even if he's right, and I do feel that this guy had some sort of a credible going through his
He has a
background on
book, by
LinkedIn.
the way. He's written a book
Yeah,
that's been
I'm
published by
checking out
Bloomsbury.
exactly.
So
I'm
I'm sure
so
Bloomsbury
he
has
has
done their
some
research.
credibility. I think it all comes down to my lawyer is stronger than your lawyer. I think at this point.
Okay, wait. Before we go
But
ahead, I
I mean,
just
Cadbury's lawyers are bigger than everybody's lawyer over here, I'm
Correct. So
yeah.
sure.
then
Yeah.
don't talk about the sugar in their products.
Why
Yeah.
not? See, I mean, see,
Ek second.
yeah.
I just want to give context to what the Streisand effect is.
Hmm.
It's basically when you try to attempt to hide, remove, or censor information, but it leads to an unintended consequence of an increased awareness. So now more
Yeah.
people know about Bonvita having sugar,
Yeah.
more people are talking about it, and more people have lost the consumer confidence in that brand. So
Yeah.
it is
Yeah.
going to affect Cadbury. I'm not saying no.
If you actually
Yeah.
just see the comments on that apology post, it's already like, I will never buy Cadbury
Never buy.
Oh,
products again.
yeah. Well, see,
Yeah.
there
So
it
yeah,
is.
but yeah, this kind of reminds me of when comedians get into hot soup, right? Any sort of legal action they face, they know they're going to be on the losing end because they're at the end of the day an individual.
Yeah.
So they also apologize, and if it can be nipped in the bud, I think in his case, if it's got 12 million views and Paresh Rawal and all have shared it, then it's done the job that he wanted it to do. It's
Yeah.
got the message out there.
Yeah, somebody's written,
So yeah,
you scared a multinational company. This is a victory.
he
Yeah.
has.
No,
He
it's not.
has.
Again, it's not power. It's not about scaring. The fact of fact that Bournvita is sweet. It has that level of unhealthy sugar. बस उसको health drink करके मत करो. That is the only thing he wanted to say.
No, be careful of
This
what you're
is
saying,
this is
Jalasmi.
No,
We don't
I
want
am going to,
another.
yo.
irrespective, I am going to go to Marine Drive and I'm going to have Bournvita because I love Bournvita. मैं मना नहीं कर रही हूँ,
Right.
but I am drinking with an awareness. I'm not
Hmm.
going with that
Like, I
whatever
know this is
misled
killing me. I
communication
still
is
want.
coming
Yeah,
my
I'm
way.
also gonna drink with an awareness. If I say shit about this company, they're gonna send me a legal
I
notice.
mean, we all
No,
know
no,
that
not that. I am aware कि इसमें sugar है, but कभी-कभी चलता है.
we all know aerated drinks have pesticide in them, right? But we still drink
Oh,
it.
damn, do they?
Yeah, so I think that's just where it stands right now. I think multinational companies should do a little bit more to convince us that they are healthy
Hmm.
in whatever products they're looking out there, because Patanjali doesn't have human bones and Maggie doesn't have whatever it supposed to
Wax,
have.
wax,
Okay.
wax.
All right, so we'll take a quick break. Thank you for that piece of
Love you,
news,
Bournvita,
Jalasmi.
anyway.
And at this point, we'll take a short break. When we come back, we'll find out what Karan has for us. We'll see you on the other side of this.
Hi, this is Cyrus Rogan Brocha, pyar se Rogues. I've come up with a brand new idea. It's a premium product called Club Cyrus Says. It's an offer open just for you. Let me tell you about the product. We've got exclusive Cock and Bull episodes just for you. That's right, just for you. That means others don't get to see it. Also, you get exclusive footage, extra bits, the uncut version of the interviews with celebrities. And these are huge celebrities, not small-time celebrities. Only the big guys come on the show. So you'll get the exclusive bits that nobody else gets. The extra tidbits, special stuff, uncensored stuff you don't want to put out. That's just for you. And for our audio listeners, you get special ad-free content and early access to interviews and sessions and podcasts which nobody else will get. You'll get it first. You're the first people. You're Neil Armstrong. You're Edmund Hillary. You're whoever discovered India. You're that. And by becoming an exclusive member of Club Cyrus Says, you get the power. We transfer the power to you and you become the producers and you will decide what content or what happens on that show. You are the masters and we can't use words like that. People who work for the masters, basically. So guys, get in. Special audio features include, I forget. I can't remember what the
And we're back on page 10. Let's get to our final story for this week, which is by Karan. As in, not by Karan, but Karan will speak about it. So, Karan, what is it about?
So, hi everyone. So my story is about the story that broke just before Atiq Ahmed's death.
Right.
Um,
Which conspiracy theories are claiming was done to cover your
to
story, the one
cover,
you're going to
yeah, to
cover?
mask my story
Yes.
rather. It's about the infamous Satyapal Malik,
Hmm.
interview with Karan Thapar,
Right.
where there were some rather serious allegations hurled towards the central government, our prime minister, our ex home minister, and surprisingly, some really good things about the current home minister.
Hmm.
So, anyway, it starts off with his biggest sort of bombshell. They start off with something about Mehbooba Mufti also, but I'm going to leave that bit. That's not as controversial as what this is about.
Okay.
So it starts off with the Pulwama attack, technically, and how he considers the Pulwama attack to be our own fault
Hmm.
rather than Pakistan, who famously was blamed for the incident and
Right.
who also kind of famously took responsibility in their parliament.
Right.
Somebody apparently announced that this is a victory for Pakistani people under the leadership of Imran Khan. I'll come to that later.
Okay. Okay. So, just to
So,
clarify, so has he claimed? I mean, he's claimed that the lack of security led to the attack, right?
yeah, but
He's not claiming that the attack was internal.
no, that would be
Okay.
stupid to do so.
Right.
I'm just saying, like the lapses in security that
Correct.
happened,
Yeah.
the ultimate responsibility lies with the central government and him by extension as the governor of Jammu
Jammu
and Kashmir, which he was
Yeah.
at the time.
Yeah.
So the story starts with the CRPF had asked for an airlift
Mhm.
to wherever they were going, and they had asked for 5 choppers for the same. And this request was not approved by the Union Home Ministry.
Mhm.
So, of course, nobody's going to sit around and argue over that. So they decided to go by road. Now, what happened is, as they were scouting the location, the route that the convoy was supposed to be taking, they realized that there were about 8 or 9 junctions on the road that were not manned.
Okay.
They were supposed to have some sort of security detail,
Mhm. Mhm.
something over
Mhm.
there, at least checkpoints or
Mhm.
something. Now, while there were, as it's claimed, while there were some checkpoints on that route, but they weren't manned at all. So
Mhm.
this was a serious security risk,
Mhm.
which the Honorable Satyapal Malik, ex-governor of Jammu Kashmir, had flagged off to the to the Home Ministry, and also the Prime Minister.
Right.
Anyway, so once after this attack happens, Satyapal Malik is like seething, right? He's
Right.
angry. He's like, why? How can this happen? Yeah,
Mhm.
ultimately, the responsibility is
Mhm.
his. So he says that he had called Prime Minister Modi to deliver this news. He was probably one of the first people to give the news to Prime Minister Modi. And this was while Prime Minister Modi at the time was in Jim Corbett National Park, which, if you remember, what he was doing at the time in Jim
Man
Corbett
versus wild.
was this Man versus Wild
Mhm.
with
Mhm.
Bear Grylls, who
Mhm.
incidentally retired. So all the best to him.
Okay.
And so when he did deliver this news to him, he says that Prime Minister Modi asked him to be quiet about this news.
Mhm.
And then he was asked by the National Security Advisor, Mr. Ajit Doval, to also be quiet about
Mhm.
this news,
Mhm.
because they are planning to blame this on Pakistan, and this cannot come back. Any repercussions cannot come back to
Mhm.
us. It'll
Mhm.
be a huge sort of slap in the face, which it is now. So that's about the Pulwama attack. I mean,
I
obviously,
mean, blame Pakistan as in it's still Pakistani terrorists who did carry out the
it
attack.
is, it
Right.
is, but
Right.
basically,
So just making it
yeah, but it's
clear
like
out there.
blame
Yeah.
with
Correct.
responsibility as well.
Sure.
Not like blaming them, but also saying that, hey, we didn't
Yeah.
really take
Yeah.
the
Yeah. Yeah.
correct this thing
Yeah.
measures. Anyway, so he says a couple of more things apart from the Pulwama
Mhm.
thing. He also says that he was opposed to the abrogation of Article 370 in Jammu Kashmir. Well, not entirely. He was opposed to. He was definitely supportive of Article 370 being abrogated, but he was opposed to the idea of Jammu Kashmir being divided into two, and union territory. It
Becoming a
been
union
given
territory.
becoming a
Yeah.
union territory,
Yeah.
because union territory becomes, it's slightly lower than full statehood, right?
Mhm.
Because you're still under the control of the Home Ministry.
Mhm.
So that was something that he did not support at all, and he was kind of opposed to it. He also said that he has warned plenty of people, including Prime Minister Modi,
Mhm.
that this is going to be a mistake. The reasoning that he was given was that, and if the police weren't in control of the central government, as it is with the case of union territories, then they feared a police riot, which Satyapal Malik says that is not possible, because he had done a lot of work for the police, for the local police over there,
Mhm.
and he had complete support of the police force. So he was repeatedly telling them, "Ki, don't worry about the police revolt and all of that. It's not going to happen." But still, they kind of ignored him and went ahead with it anyway. He also mentioned about the two schemes that soon kind of found their way into Jammu Kashmir as soon as the abrogation and all that happened, that Jammu Kashmir and Ladakh being split and all that. One was a hydroelectric dam
Mhm.
that was supposed to be built over there, and the other one was an insurance sort of scheme that was supposed to start within the government karmacharis and all of that. So the funny thing here is that each of these schemes was supposedly worth 150 crores to whoever was the person who would pass it, right? Now there were a couple of problems with this. The hydroelectric scheme, from what I gather, was something that he didn't want to clear in any case. So he decided not to clear it. Whereas the insurance scheme was something that was even like really like badly thought of. Like the insurance would be really expensive, because
Mhm.
certain people have to pay 8,000 rupees every year, and these are government servants.
Mhm.
And the retired servants will have to pay upwards of at least 12,000, 13,000 a year. And even once you pay that for the insurance, you get treatment. You can get treatment only to certain hospitals. Now, take a wild guess, but these hospitals are not going to be of the top quality. They're not going to be a Fortis or an Ames. They're going to
Right.
be. He meant Satyapal Malik says ki these hospitals were like the third rate, like somewhere like even we wouldn't go to
Hmm.
ever.
Hmm.
So obviously, this is something that he thought was wrong. Like, we cannot push this on the people over there. Again, people are going to be angry. He just think about everything.
Hmm.
So he apparently let go of this 300 crore sort of deal that he was supposedly a beneficiary of,
Yeah.
and he didn't pass it.
Hmm.
So he says that because of this, a BJP leader, one Ram Madhav,
Mhm.
Ram Madhav has apparently out to get him, or
Okay.
in his own words.
Hmm.
That's why all this has
Hmm.
happened.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, so there was one video maybe a year ago that Satyapal Malik was starred in rather, which is part of an interview where he did say a lot of things pertaining to these two schemes and even Pulwama thing. But that video was like just shared amongst people. It didn't get the kind of
Yeah.
attention it deserved.
Right.
So what happened is that somebody in BJP saw that video, has put a defamation case on Satyapal Malik.
Okay.
The chronology is
हाँ,
आप समझिए.
समझिए.
ठीक है. It goes first, the video came out,
Right.
then
The
someone
video is
puts
the Wire interview.
not this interview,
Okay.
the one last year.
All right.
First that video came out,
Okay.
then a defamation case goes out against Satyapal Malik. Now the Karan Thapar interview comes out, and then there's a book coming out written by Satyapal Malik. So that's how it goes. So obviously, the people in power are like, why is he silent? Why was he silent for 10 years?
Yeah.
Not 10 years, 6 years.
Whatever. 5, 6 years
Five,
where he
6 years,
was
yeah.
he's down.
So, obviously, and then there's on the other side, people are like, you know what, he got a defamation case. Obviously, now that's
Right.
the reason why he's doing all
No,
of
but
this.
what was the defamation case for?
So the defamation case is regarding something that I can't remember right now, but because I haven't seen that video, it's
All
about
right. But his
yeah,
own party member did the defamation case.
yeah. It's I'm not really sure actually
Okay.
about what this is, but there was this one video.
Uh,
I can't find it anywhere on the internet.
okay.
So, and which is why I don't even know what the video contains. But
Mm.
all I have read is in my
Mm.
research that I have done, that there is a defamation case that has been levied on Satyapal Malik.
Okay.
Now, in response to that defamation case, I guess is what the conspiracy theory is, that he is sort
Got
of
it. Switched sides, so to
yeah,
say.
kind of.
Yeah. Yeah.
There were a few small kind of allegations that he not small, but rather a few things that he said. He said that the Prime Minister Modi is not very well informed. Well, the word he used was ill informed,
Mm.
especially when it comes to Kashmir.
Hmm.
So now that's it's not really a good thing to say. Like but
You think that's more a case of him saying that people just tell him what he wants to hear?
yeah, which is funny because he
Yeah.
also mentioned that Amit Shah is actually very well informed when it
Right.
comes to Kashmir. He
Right.
knows everything that's happening, and so
Yeah.
far he's been pretty somewhat supportive of Amit Shah's
Huh,
policies and
huh,
all that.
huh.
But in a way that just puts Prime Minister Modi in a very precarious position,
Hmm.
because he's like, then what is the credibility of him as a Prime
Hmm.
Minister as opposed to Amit Shah, who's
Hmm.
kind of clearly leading the country. But
Hmm.
like
What was that? Was that? I didn't hear that. Karan.
so anyway, but yeah, and so it doesn't put Prime Minister Modi in a very good light. So,
Right.
when he says things like
Has there been any response or statement from the Prime Minister's office regarding this?
Prime
In
Minister,
response, Prime Minister's office.
well, not really, but Tejasvi Surya has weighed in on this
Okay.
issue.
Okay.
Okay, he has, yeah. He's actually said that this is how what wait, hang on, let me just check.
Yeah.
He mentioned something about
वो निकाल लेना उसका जो statement.
क्या
Tweet
yeah.
ही किया होगा.
I mean, I can't find it right now, but I just can't
Okay, give us
figure out
what
it
he
was.
said in a nutshell.
So basically, he kind of alluded to this,
Hmm.
and then he quickly went into the Atiq Ahmed
Okay.
case, saying that कानून के हाथ तो बहुत लंबे रहते हैं. When clearly it's not कानून that's done the
Right.
हाथ लंबे.
Right.
So, but anyway, right now, well, of course, everybody and their dog has been like going ham on Satyapal Malik, saying that why is this guy talking all this shit, like obviously he's just looking for publicity, and nobody's really like.
What is his book about? Any idea?
His book is about his time as
Acha,
governor
okay.
in Jammu Kashmir,
Right.
his time as governor in Goa, his time as governor in Bihar, and his time as governor in Meghalaya, which was his last one. So
Right.
first was Bihar, where he's from. And then Jammu Kashmir, Goa, and
All
Meghalaya.
states where the BJP has grown in the last couple of
Yeah,
years, right? Won
yeah,
elections.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And he's also, and funny thing is, because he asked a lot of questions in Jammu Kashmir, and also he was kind of transferred out of there.
Mm,
Apparently, the leader of Hurriyat
mm.
is someone who actually looked up to Satyapal Malik, because he said that Satyapal Malik actually has a finger on the pulse of the state
Right.
and knows what's good for the
Mm,
people and what's not,
mm,
and kind of is working towards the
mm,
progress
mm.
of that society.
Correct.
But again, he was constantly suppressed. They were not asking him for his opinions. He was basically like a nominative signatory.
Mm,
As such,
mm,
technically a governor
mm,
during president's rule
mm.
is somebody who has the most power
Right.
over there. Meghnad
Mm.
would back me up over
Yeah,
here.
yeah.
But
We've seen this when in cases where there is a split verdict
yeah,
in an
exactly.
election, the governor takes
Yeah,
the
so
helm.
he
Yeah.
he alleges that he was basically just a signatory. The orders are coming from Delhi,
Right.
and I kind of get it when he says this, that once orders come from Delhi, there's not like much he can do about
Right.
it, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Especially the time in which we're living in.
Mm, mm. What
So
times? The normal times.
yeah, yeah,
Anyway.
pretty regular times, the secular
Yeah.
times. So we have all this happening in Jammu Kashmir. Then he got transferred from there to Goa.
Okay.
And no, when he once he went to Goa, he realized in Goa there's far too much corruption happening over there also.
This is after Kashmir, huh?
This is
Okay.
after Kashmir,
Yeah.
and he tried to raise this. He tried to raise this issue with the BJP chiefs
Mm,
in Goa
mm,
as well, and the higher ups in Delhi and
mm,
all that. Turns out he was transferred for there also because of all of this. Like, honestly, he doesn't touch upon a lot of his Goa episode over
right.
here, because
Right.
of course Karan Thapar really hangs on to the Pulwama thing, and
Correct.
but he does say that the kind of corruption that he saw in Goa was like nowhere.
Mm,
And to be honest, if anyone of listeners, you and me, have traveled to Goa in the
mm,
last 2 or 3 years, you know that there's a lot happening. At the same time, there's very little that's
mm,
happening. And a lot happening in terms of development. There's a lot of mining, and also some of it which is not really environmentally positive, and all of this that's happening.
mm,
And at the same time, people are still not really like, there are no jobs
mm,
in Goa unless you're in the tourism industry, right? There's no jobs. There's not much in the way of healthcare. There's that one hospital in Panjim, great hospital. I never want to go there though.
mm.
But it's just that one hospital is so, like, it's so busy every time. It's the only one hospital where everybody from tourists to locals to government officials to actors, everybody go to that one hospital.
Right.
GM something, I keep forgetting the name.
Mm,
But yeah, healthcare is like suffering in Goa. It's not well policed. We know of so many, like, missing persons and all of that happening. It's I wouldn't say it's unsafe, but it's
right.
just relatively, it's just a little bit, you know just everything is just there,
Right.
like,
Mm.
so yeah, so he was transferred out of Goa almost immediately from there.
Okay. Jalasmi, anything you want to add to this
No.
topic? Wow. Okay. So, in conclusion, if I may make a leap here,
Yeah.
you think this is essentially just a little bit of publicity for his book, and then it'll come, it'll go, nothing will really happen of this, and we'll all forget it in due time.
No, that's interesting, because it could be for his book.
Right.
It could, but then again, like, he has nothing to lose at this point.
Correct.
He's a celebrated governor of
Huh.
4 states, having
Huh.
a political career of over 30 years.
Mm.
So nothing. I mean, it'll be amazing if there's some retribution to this. I don't think so.
Retribution.
Yeah,
Okay.
because nobody's happy with him. He himself has admitted on the video
Hmm.
that he's sure to piss off all of Delhi and possibly Nagpur also. But
Right. Hmm.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Cool.
We'll see if the book sells well. Then we know our answer, right?
Yeah, we'll see.
So you said that the Imran Khan government felt vindicated from his statement and
No,
everything.
not really. There was a video that was flowing around, that somebody showed him, and he showed it to somebody else. Apparently, Satyapal Malik showed to somebody, a high-ranking official at BJP or something, where someone in the Pakistani parliament kind of held up a newspaper or something that had Pulwama ka
Hmm.
details on it, and said that this is a victory for the Pakistan peoples under the leadership of Imran Khan.
So do these statements in a way sort of affect the India Pakistan relationship any further?
I mean,
I hope
at this
not.
point,
The
no.
relationships are
At this
already
point,
sour.
no. because it's still pretty much established that they conducted the attack. That's established. The
Hmm.
problem is that we had every sort of chance to prevent it from happening, and
Or at least
at
minimizing
least,
its effect.
yeah, at least
Yeah.
Hmm.
mitigating the effects, right?
Okay.
But still, like, none of these steps were taken. They were forced to go by road, or in a route, or by a
Yeah.
route
Yeah.
Which
that
was already
was
Which
risky.
dangerous,
right.
and like, yeah, and so this happened. It's happened.
Yeah. All right, that brings us to the end of this week's episode of Page 10. Thank you, Jalasmi and Karan, for
Thank
joining
you.
us.
Woo.
Meghnad will be joining us hopefully next week. One final time, if you're watching us on YouTube, please subscribe to All About Now, like this video, share it with someone who you think will enjoy it. You can reach out to us personally as well on our social media handles. Karan, where can people find you?
People can find me on Instagram at 22kgp
Okay.
and nowhere else.
All
Please
right.
don't try to find me anywhere
What
else.
is 22 kgp?
हाँ, तो 22 किलो का तो नहीं है.
22 is
और
a date.
22 की उम्र का भी नहीं है.
Woo! Okay. So 22 is obviously not obviously, but it's my date of birth,
Oh, okay.
22nd of June.
June, yeah, right.
And KP is my name, Karan Patil.
KGP.
Yeah, the G stands for gangster.
Lol.
Jalasmi, where can
Lol.
people find you?
I am Jealous95 on Twitter.
No
I have a
gangster in your name.
Muriel wala DP. No, I'm not a gangster. I'm a simple girl next door.
This is so politically incorrect because you talked about gang wars in the first part of this, and now we're making fun of gangsters.
I'm not making fun of it, bro. I'm sad for
Okay,
Atiq
wait.
Ahmed.
Social media handles
Hey,
फिर से लेते
cut
हैं.
that, I'm sad for Atiq Ahmed. तो cut that.
No, social media handles फिर से रहते हैं.
नहीं ठीक है. Yours will after the yours will take it on mine.
Okay.
Where can people find you apart
Yes,
from
you
the
can.
Has It Aged Well podcast?
You can find me on Twitter at Abbas Momin and Abbas Momin88 on Instagram. And yeah, that brings us to the end of this episode. Thank you so much for listening to us and watching us. We'll see you all next time with a new panel and new news stories. Till then, bye bye.
Bye.
Bye.